I recently had a realization that there were three types of procrastinators, and I was all three of them like a year ago, even. I would procrastinate so much that it wouldn't even be funny. Like, I would do something, or I would try to do something, and I couldn't do it no matter how hard I tried. Like, it just like, I removed one kind of obstacle and there'd be another one. I removed the last kind, and then there would be myself that was holding me back. And the three types of procrastinators I'll tell you right now are distraction procrastinators, friction procrastinators, and self image procrastinators. So I'll go through all of them in this video. Distraction procrastinators are people who want to do something, like they want to start reading a book or something, but they're too distracted, like they keep stimulating themselves instead of actually doing what they set out to do. So this is the kind of guy who wants to read a book, but he's too busy scrolling on TikTok. And I used to be that guy. I used to be the guy. I wanted to watch podcasts. I wanted to read books, but I would just keep watching dumb videos on YouTube, like gaming YouTube videos. I would keep watching them over and over again, distracting myself from what was honestly more important. And the way to really solve this, the way to really stop this is to honestly just stop distracting yourself. Slowly but surely you have to like delete stuff like TikTok and YouTube and all that. Well, I haven't deleted YouTube, but just slowly make sure that you spend less and less time being distracted, because then you don't have an excuse, right? Either you do it or you don't. It's not that you're too busy, because honestly, you're never too busy. Everyone has the same amount of time in a day, and if you don't do something, that's on you. Honestly, that's on you. You can't say that I'm too busy and then spend like 5 hours on your phone a day or something like that. That's on you. It's on you, nobody else. So really, the best way to stop for this person is to just delete stuff like TikTok and Instagram and just replace it with other fulfilling, enjoyable activities like reading, even, or even just walking. I'm not joking. Just because you can't just quit something like TikTok and then just sit there bored. You have to fill it in with something enjoyable. The second type is friction procrastinator. So this is the kind of person who isn't distracted, so he's willing to do it, but the starting line seems too big of a hassle for them. This is where friction comes in. Friction is wherever you feel too much of a force pushing against you to actually start something. So let's say you want to start working out, but the friction that you feel is that it might be awkward to go to the gym. You don't want to drive there every day. You don't want to sweat. You'll feel sore. Though that's just friction. And the bigger the friction that you feel, the less likely you are to do something. Now, the way to solve this is to make the starting line seem smaller. So instead of saying I'm going to go to the gym, set small goals, like smaller than small, like a step to the goal. So instead of I'm going to go to the gym today, say I'm going to put on my workout clothes today. And then once you do it, you're going to say my next step is to like get the keys for the car or something, like very small steps, because setting a big goal like I'm going to go to the gym is good for whenever you actually have gone to the gym before, because you already know what to do, you already know the steps in your head. But when you're just starting out, the friction needed to actually start a big task like that is too great. And so if you just reduce the amount of friction just one single step at a time, you just plan out everything you do down to the most minute level, it becomes easier to just go into the flow of just starting the activity. And the third type, which is honestly probably the most difficult to get out of, is self image procrastinators. So, self image procrastinators, they're not distracted, they're not like holding themselves back from starting something because they're distracted or because something feels too big for them. They procrastinate because it's like their brain is holding them back from actually taking action. It's like their brain, they like with their conscious self, they want to take action, like they're so focused on it, but it's like the subconscious part of their brain whenever they're on autopilot, like NPC mode. It's like their subconscious is holding them back. Like they're at arms, like your conscious and your subconscious are fighting each other, trying to get to different goals. And the way to fix this is to change your self image. So instead of going from someone who sees themselves as a procrastinator, you have to see yourself as someone who takes action. And the best way to change your self image is, ironically, is to take action, but that's not the answer you probably want to hear, right? But the best way to stop seeing yourself as a procrastinator is to actually stop procrastinating. But as well, there's other things like affirmations. Affirmations is where you say to yourself, I am not a procrastinator. I am a disciplined person. I take action, like stuff like that, where it's almost like you're lying to yourself, but eventually you start to believe the lie, and so you actually do change to be that kind of person. So it's not even lying anymore. And there's also visualizations where you imagine yourself in your head like you're the kind of person who doesn't procrastinate. And it's almost like a mental rehearsal in your mind. As well, there's a lot, like, honestly, just the best way is to take action, right? The less you procrastinate, the more you take action, the less you'll see yourself as someone who procrastinates. It's kind of counterintuitive, but honestly, the best the best thing for this person is just slowly start building up the amount of action that they take per day. So it's kind of like the friction procrastinators where they want to set small goals just so they can have like a record behind them that, yeah, I don't procrastinate. And I used to be all three of them. I used to be all three types of these. I used to like watch YouTube videos, like gaming videos. I would not want to do something, like it would just be in the back of my mind, even though honestly it wasn't even that hard looking back on it, but it felt so big, it felt so colossal of a task that I just didn't want to do it. And I was also I also saw myself as a procrastinator. I also saw myself as the person who was difficult for them to take action. And you can be all three of these, you can be two of them, you can just be one of them. And it's not a binary thing where either you are this kind of person or you aren't. It's a continuum, so it's like how much of this person you are. And I'm not trying to label you, by the way. I'm trying to just say that maybe you identify with one of those three and how much of that person you identify with. So maybe you could say, like, I'm like 20% of the first type, like I'm like 25% of the second type. It really depends. And the best way, honestly, to like start working it, let's say you have all three, is to just get rid of one at a time. So for me, I first started out with getting rid of distraction. After that, I started working towards like setting smaller goals. And after that, I actually read a book which I recommend to you right now for self-image procrastinators, Psycho-Cybernetics. That is the best book that I've ever read in terms of psychology, and not just psychology, self-image specifically. If you find that you identify with the third type, self-image procrastinator, read Psycho-Cybernetics. I'll make more videos on this, of course, but just know that there's not just one type of procrastinator. It's not like you either procrastinate or you don't. There's different types. It's how much you do it, and it's more complicated than just you don't do what you say you do. If you're interested in more, I offer coaching in the description.